Hello, welcome to another smart success story from HBXL. Today we're going to be with Oakleafe Property Services Limited. My name is Adrian Wild, I'm the Managing Director of HBXL. I was a builder and property developer for over 25 years. I completed over 300 extensions and 80 new builds, and I developed the software to help me run that business. Today we're going to hear from Lee Goodwin from Oakleafe Property Services. Lee's been using Estimator Express for many years and was so pleased with the software he bought Plans Express as soon as it was launched. He now owns the entire software suite with multiple licenses for use within his enlarged businesses. We've recorded this interview in advance due to his hectic schedule. The interview was with me, Adrian Wild, MD of HBXL, and Joanna Mulgrew, our Product Development Director. Hello, my name is Adrian Wild. I'm the MD of HBXL. Today I'm with Joanna Mulgrew, a director in HBXL who is deeply involved in the development of the software, our business and marketing. We're also delighted to have Lee Goodwin from Oakleafe Property Services with us today, who has been using our software for many years. So hi Lee, thanks for taking time from your busy day to discuss our software on your mobile.
Hello, Adrian. Pleasure.
How's business treating you?
We're very fortunate. The workload is in its ascendancy, so it's all positive, all good. And as you well know, HBXL has been a large part of that.
Oh, great! Thanks for that. Yes, you've always been busy every time I speak to you, Lee. Anyway, tell us a little bit about your business and what you guys get up to. What's your core business all about?
Okay. Well, Oakleafe's been around for over 100 years. I'm the 8th generation of owner, but we've predominantly been involved with an awful lot of insurance-based repairs. Grandad was involved with some war damage after Second World War, and that led into insurance repairs. But obviously, we are general builders, and that has kind of fanned out as we've grown to include things like local authority works and new builds and certain phases of maintenance with finished church, for example.
I see. Okay. So do you do the odd home extension and this sort of thing?
Absolutely, all the time, Adrian, and that really is where your software is geared up, more so than anything else, because it cuts down an awful lot of administration that historically and traditionally us guys as builders were doing after we've been on the tools all day long.
Yeah, yes, and it's very time consuming, isn't it? Yeah. So which software packages have you got?
Well, we over the years we've ended up with all of them actually, Adrian, but we started off initially with the Plans Express and the Estimator Express, which, as you know, are linked and go hand in hand. But as we've grown, something that's been a massive asset to us has been the Health and Safety Expert.
Right.
When you're a small builder, it's very rare on a residential property that you get asked for certain things that you would do in a commercial sense. And certainly working for local authority now and large insurers and some of the big commercial stuff that we're doing, it is a minimum requirement that you perform certain health and safety tasks, and your piece of software makes life so much easier.
Does it? Great. So it saves you a lot of time. Yeah, because they're expensive, aren't they? Your health and safety advisors. If you've got to call them in every time you do a job.
Yeah, and listen, like yourself, Adrian, we have certain responsibilities annually that we have to do, and we have to bring people in for things like asbestos refreshers and all the rest of it. And I'm going to be frank with you, and credit where credit's due, your piece of software, I've never, even our CHAS assessment, I've never had anybody come back and say it's not suitable. If anything, it is comprehensive and certainly saves us not only time but an awful lot of money annually on certain renewal phases and even project tendering for projects where they're asking, you end up with a ream of paper on the health and safety files that your software is literally a tick box and just put in the relevant information.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. So how did you go about choosing our software in the first place? What was your route to buying it? Was it
I'm a member of the Federation of Master Builders, and
right.
I was involved with some campaigns or some marketing in conjunction with them, where you was at a roadshow, and just being curious, I sat in because I'd looked at some of your competitors, and I'd been involved, obviously been doing the estimating myself. I had a system that, looking back was archaic, but I watched the presentation and I listened to what the chaps had said, and it really did seem simple. And I thought, well, it can't be that simple. And I had I pulled one of them afterwards and said, look, I'm a man of the world. I understand that you've got a job to do selling this stuff, but can you show me the real crux of it? Because I don't believe it is what you're telling me it is. And we knocked up on one of your laptops on a demo, a basic extension with a flat roof, and what normally took me 4 to 6 hours took 20 minutes, and come out. Mine was 2 pages in length, and I had something that was about 14 pages long that threw all the relevant jargon and paraphernalia in that clients like and love, and it looks so much more professional. Yet you've done about 1/10 of the effort. And I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna have some of this and try it, and I've never looked back.
Do you think it helps you win work?
Absolutely. And Adrian, I'm not the cheapest builder. I'm certainly not the dearest. I'm usually somewhere in the middle. But let me tell you something. I have won jobs 1,000% on the software producing a document that looks more professional than anything else most people are. The stuff that your software allows us to do actually makes it look like we've got a piece of kit that has been tuned and set up for us. We've spent tens of thousands of pounds on to give us a ream of paper, that literally breaks down every nut, bolt and screw if you want it. And I know for a fact we've won jobs based on that piece of that document alone that your software's produced.
So would you say that you can return quotes faster or deliver them faster back to your insurance kind of?
Well, it's not just insurance. You remember we do lots of different. I'm quoting for lots of different types of when I use your software comprehensively because I've learned how to set up individual workbooks of things that perhaps were too generic for me. That's another step further from what most users will probably do. But let's say, for example, I don't know, £150,000 extension that would have taken me a week at best. And that is with suppliers, giving me prices back on materials, which they would take ages. I was always chasing them. I can do a £150,000 extension in, if I said 2 hours, that's giving myself a pat on the back, but 4 hours without any, and that's with interruptions, with phones ringing and one thing and another. And it really is that simple. Once you've got the software set up and you're used to using it, in building, you find things are repetitious. You're always using similar sort of systems, whether it's strip foundations and all the rest of it. Once you're used to the software, I just absolutely fly through it. And these DIMS wizard, where you've got pictures and you just fill in the dimensions, is genius. It's fantastic.
Right. So just for the benefit of anybody who's listening to this, a DIMS wizard is a dimension wizard, which is a picture of the particular item, a wall or a roof or a foundation, and you just fill in the pictures as you say. So it does make it
dimensions
very easy.
Yeah, you literally tell it how deep you want the foundations, for example, and how wide they're going to be, and how many soldier courses, how many courses you've got going in out of the ground, and it does it all for you. It works out absolutely everything, and obviously from Adrian, you can produce reports for purposes of ordering or for the client, and it goes a lot further than what we're discussing.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you say that Estimator Express was perhaps more accurate than manually? Would you say, or now you've got it totally tuned up for you?
What I liked about it initially is, and obviously anybody using any software for the first time will take a period of adjustment. It would throw in all the information there, even if I was inaccurate, because there's certain things that if you skip through it, you haven't costed properly. There'd be items that you need to actually tell it what type of waterproof for the render you want to use, because there's so many different. It'll actually come up red and you have to select it. You can skip that if you're really in a rush. And I was making a few errors at the start, but a price would come out or some jargon would come out that I knew wasn't, and I could edit it in the manual way on the Word document. Initially, this is before I got used to the software, but what I especially liked about the software was, and this is hand on heart, I had never ever come unstuck on prices, even when I've made mistakes with the software, because you factor in usage items and wear and tear on things that builders forget. They forget that over 100 jobs or less than that. In fact, you're going to replace a wheelbarrow or you're going to replace a consumer board. The software throws that in, and little things like journeys and plant deliveries and all the things that you don't even factor in that you think are costing you money that do cost you money and time. The software does that for you, and hand on heart, I've never ever come unstuck on prices by using it. I've come close when I've made a mistake, and I may have broken even, but I've never come unstuck, and I can't honestly say that never happened when I was doing it myself manually.
Yeah. So can I ask a question, sorry, there, Adrian, about prices? You're saying about prices. Do you use the price tracker or any of the merchant links into Estimator Express, or do you keep the manual?
accounts with most, major building companies, and we actually use Juicem because they're one of our preferred suppliers that we've got terms set with, and your software will link into that and use our prices. But there is always an element of something that you haven't used before, or that perhaps Juicem doesn't stock, that's been spec'd by an architect or a client. And what I do then is I go online and use your web-based material, tracker, and I find the product, download that into the software so it's in there, and then it will show up for me to select, and I do it that way. But obviously, for most initial users, that's probably the next step they won't be used to. I've been using it a long time, so it's very easy for me to do it now.
Yeah, great. Sorry, Adrian, I interrupted you there. you were about to launch into something.
No. I was just going to sort of ask Lee how he thinks life compares now with the software as to previous. Now that he's got it, is it better before or after with the software? How has it impacted on your business, do you think?
Adrian, first and foremost, it was a time saver. Let's take the cost element out and the accuracy. I was coming home working till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning just to get the paperwork done, which you're tired and you don't do things properly, especially when you're on the tools. But, hand on heart, and I can say this genuinely, a lot of the growth of the business, certainly initially, was due to the fact that I had HBXL software, because the menial stuff, and I'm talking about, stuff that you go out and look at 100 jobs and you might only have got 25 of them. You kind of get into a rhythm where you're not expecting to win it half the time. That sort of reversed. It became a lot quicker. As I say, £25,000-30,000 extension I will do in about 6 minutes now.
Wow. I think that must have to be a record for us, Adrian.
I just put all the dimensions in, bang, 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 and there might be 15 or 20 different elements. Done. Click, print, report, tell it the detail that I want, and it's out the door. Now that level of detail and the time saved is not only a cost factor that was saving us in terms of what we've spent on the business, but it allowed me to get more estimates out quicker, because builders are not renowned, are renowned for, the lack of, should we say, paperwork, or the quality of paperwork. If I'm looking at 100 jobs and I was only getting 25, in reality, I was probably only getting 12 estimates out, so all the time I had. But I would, with HBXL, I was then getting 100 estimates out, and guess what? I was winning 66% of them, which was a lovely problem. It was a lovely problem. It brings success brings its own problems. But I can honestly say that, it's been an integral part of the way that we've grown. I mean, I've got 60-odd guys working for me now, in-house. That's without subcontractors. I started off just myself and my brother. My father had run the business down to nothing, didn't want us involved in the construction industry because it is a tough industry. And HBXL software has been a massive integral part of the growth, because listen, statistically, if you keep peppering away and getting your estimates out, you're going to get a lot more jobs in, and even if you wasn't able to do the paperwork. And for most builders, doing the paperwork is the hard bit. They can do the work and they're fantastic, but getting home and getting in front of a computer and spending, especially if the suppliers have let you down with promising you that they're going to get material costs back and this and that, and higher places saying, we'll get the cost over tomorrow, and they don't. Time you get home, no one's open, you're stuck, you think, and then someone else has got their price in before you and you lose the job. With your stuff, as I say, I'd come home, I'd sometimes do 4 or 5 estimates a night. Really? And I would win at least 1 or 2 of them just because I was the first one to get the paperwork in. And when the paperwork arrives, it's very, very impressive. It's got your logos all over it. It's a minimum of half a dozen sheets, a lot minimum. That's for a small job. And, you do something like a 25, 30K extension, you end up with 15, 20 pages of real detailed stuff. The clients love it. Even if you and I know that, all right, you've put like 4 lines in for what would take 1 item normally, they love that stuff. They love the level of detail, and they think automatically you must be ultra professional because your paperwork is.
Yeah.
Well,
the transparency, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I'm always telling clients, so that when I'm in a sales situation, but half of them don't believe you. But it's great to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were.
Adrian, the flip side of things are that sometimes it can throw too much detail, and if you don't tell it not to. For my insurance-based works, if I give them too much information, what they start doing is acting like a QS, and they can unpick things. But guess what? All I do is I just switch that feature off, and I give them enough information that I want them to see, so they can't do that. You've got both spectrums. It's great.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, that's great on Estimator. I think you've probably answered all the questions I was going to ask you. Um, moving swiftly on, if we talk about Plans Express, I don't know how much you've used that. Tell us about that.
I've used it extensively, and I've used it for the purpose of plan applications and building notices and all the rest of it. But as part of a degree that I've done, I've actually learned to use CAD. And let me tell you something. Once you get used to Plans Express, then you do not have any need for CAD, because it does everything, and it drags and drops elements in that you would otherwise have to draw yourself. And I'm fortunate that I've been using it a long time, that now I'd like to think I'm very good at it and very quick at it. It was a little bit daunting at first, I'm going to be honest, because it's like, it's space age for a builder at times. But with a little bit of training and a little bit of patience, and you get very, very good at it, I can draw most things, Adrian, very, very quickly, probably like you guys now. We're talking tens of minutes for plans now, maybe an hour if it's something complicated.
How did you get on with AutoCAD at college?
It's far too much information, Adrian. 90% of the features on there is fantastic if you're a designer or an architect, and but as a builder, we don't need that. The elements that we're doing, the different types of floors, the different types of roofs, different types of walls, we use over and over again, are already drawn in. You just need to drop them in.
Yeah.
What is the other CAD? It would give you too much information. It was overwhelming. And yes, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic product. But what you've done is simplified it, made it available, so that it looks like we're using CAD for the masses.
Yeah. Do you use it combined with Estimator at all?
I have done. I'll be truthful with you, Adrian. It's not something that I'm still can't get my head around, how it's so clever that it takes the plan and puts it into. I still double check the cost, because at the end of the day, I don't want to come unstuck. I never have to change anything, but I've still got that element of fear in my mind. But yes, I do. Obviously, if you draw it and import it and it costs it for you, you've only really got to flick through it, your workbooks and your costs, print it out in a report, and you're done. It's very, very good. It's a very clever feature.
Right.
Brilliant.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you, Joe, but I think Lee's given us a pretty good overview of it. Have you any other questions?
I was just going to ask Lee very quickly whether or not he'd been using Contracts Expert at all. Obviously, I know as a member of the FMB have particular building contracts. I didn't know how much you use Contracts Expert at all.
Yes, I've got Contracts Expert. It was one of my last editions, I'm going to be truthful, because the FMB contract, being a member, was available to me, and I used to fill them out, by hand and all the rest of it. But as you get a little bit busier, and as you realise that actually, hour and a half, 2 hours filling out a contract is not really that efficient, because your software talks to each other and it imports all the information, and all you've got to do is flick through the tabs. Like a contract now takes me like 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it must impress your customers having a contract like that.
I mean, some of my large jobs where they want the full package, I'm talking about health and safety stuff, and obviously they want the estimates. You end up with like an inch-thick document that really does look special, with the contract at the back. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, we've all got neat handwriting, or we like to think we have.
So mine's like a doctor's handwriting, my end. But anyway.
But there's nothing like a typed document that's been filled out. It's clear, it's transparent, it's neat, and everything fits in the boxes as it should do. Because whenever you fill a contract, you always end up sort of trying to double a line up because there's not enough room. And just by having Contract Expert, it's not a great deal of money. It just makes you that little bit more professional. And obviously, the contracts are watertight and they're clarity assured. So they've got I think it's the crystal clear. So it's been approved for laymen to use, like as in customers.
Crystal
when they sign it, they know what they're signing, rather than saying they didn't know what they were signing. I just think it's a welcome addition. Was the last thing I added on, because at the time I thought, well, I've got contracts, but now I've got it, I wouldn't be without it.
Great. Oh, that's really good to hear. And I was just conscious that you say at the start of the interview that you were saying that you're, amazingly busy. Obviously, part of that is, upturn in the market. Part of it is obviously, being as professional as you say you are with everything you're doing and implementing in your business. And part of it is obviously your own growth plan, because I know that you're, a very strategic individual who really thinks about their business. How do you manage all the jobs? You must have lots of projects going on at any one time.
You have a lovely piece of software called Project Expert.
Oh, you do use that as well, do you?
Oh yes. And I was introduced to it, and at first, I hadn't come from a project management background, although I was project managing because I was running jobs.
Yeah.
You don't tend to, if you was to do that academically, you use bits of software that I wasn't familiar with, and Project Expert came along, and I was a little bit dubious as to how can this, what would this do for me that I'm not doing already. And actually what it did do is it made us more professional, more efficient and flexible, because you can literally drag the different bars around, which affects and notifies you of different resource allocations. Obviously now we've grown to an extent where I have project managers underneath me that actually use it on a daily basis too.
I was going to say, with 60 people, my God.
And they produce a schedule and they put it on the wall at the jobs, and that is the timeline that we've got to adhere to, and that is when you need all of this, and that is when you need 2 tilers there instead of 1. And it just gives you a little step up and makes you more professional. Obviously, when you are running multiple projects, when I used to do 2 or 3 at a time, I could, in my head, run all of them. But once you run more than that, you start getting to a stage where you need something on paper. My clients, some of my larger clients, insist on it because, listen, there are penalties and there are, contractual obligations that we've entered into to get a certain amount of work done within a certain time. Now, sometimes they've said to me, I want it done in 12 weeks, and I put it on the Project Expert, and I put the different bars following each other and showing the different phases, and actually it shows that it's impossible. I need 14 weeks. Whereas before I probably would have said, all right, I'll do it in 12 weeks, and then been working to midnight every night for £1 an hour, trying to get the blooming job done because I'm stuck with this contract. That helps alone. That
eases the stress somewhat.
Well, it can show legitimately, and you're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes, transparently. Look, that is what I need to do the job. It is 14 weeks because of drying times, because this has to follow that, and it's easy for people to read. Listen, if you can't read that, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, do you know what? It sounds like you've got it sewn up, Lee. I'm delighted that you're getting on well. Because I think you got our first software back in 2006, 2007, I think it was. So that's a long time. We're all getting older, but delighted that things are going well for you, and you've been able to give us half an hour of your very busy schedule.
Well, just one thing I would like to add, Joanna, which we haven't mentioned, is the support. Right. Now, everybody sort of raises their eyebrows when they see an extra cost for support because they think, well, I've got the software. Let me tell you something, right? I would have been knackered at times about support. There are things that those guys do. I've been using the software a long time, and I'd like to think I'm probably as good as anybody that's using it, apart from maybe your tech guys who understand a lot more than I'll ever know. But when I throw problems at them, and I do stretch them, I've got to give credit where credit's due. Not once have they not been able to help me. And sometimes it's above and beyond. It's not even the software. It's my computer that's been the issue. So I would say that anybody that's listening, seriously consider the support, because you will get it back 100 times over the course of a year. And even things that you can't cost at first, they will show you how to do it, or they'll help you and show you how to manipulate and set your own workbooks up so that next time it's a 30-second job instead of a 30-minute job that you're still scratching your head about.
Yeah, well, that's really good to hear, because I know, people, worry about, getting on with software in the first place, and we try and reassure them there's a business support team there. It's not just about technical support. We're trying to support your business more generally in the adoption of software, because we know it's a big deal for companies investing in a product and doing things differently. So that's really good. We will feed that back to them. There'll be some chuffed business support team. We pass that on.
I couldn't, hand on heart, sit here and give you a testimonial if you were useless, right?
Yeah.
You're not. Your software does what it says it does. It's updated regularly. There's always, fantastic whistles and bells. You guys are continuously developing things. You're obviously making some investment back in the business, which is important. And I'll be truthful with you. If you went skin or pop tomorrow, as a business owner, I would have a significant problem because my whole business is built around your software.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Well, I'm feeling a tad emotional here.
We certainly don't intend to go pop.
No, absolutely not.
No, but Adrian, listen, I've been with you a long time now, and you know that as a person, I'm not only impatient, but I have to have people around me that do and things that do what they say they do. Your software does what it says it does, and the nice thing about it is it's flexible enough that certain things, for example, my drying out and decontamination on some of the insurance jobs, which obviously general builders and you don't, because it's just not needed by most people. I have the ability to set my own workbook up with my own costs and my own materials and my own plant, so that guess what, when I go and cost that, it's a 30-second process.
Yeah.
So that's a nice, but you're not rigid. You've got some flexibility and some movement with the, with what, and if you're not a general builder, you can still set your own workbooks up for different elements, specialist things that most people are not doing. So that's the nice thing about the software.
Great stuff. Well, we better let you get back to your traffic jam, Lee, and
thank you very much, Adrian.
We'll have this posted on the web quite soon.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, we'll speak to you soon, mate. Thank you very much.
Take care. Yeah. Cheers,
Cheers, Lee.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Bye, Lee.
So, there you have it. Plans Express draws building plans quickly and easily. Estimator Express will import the information from the plans straight into the estimator and provide an estimate virtually instantly. In the same way, from Health and Safety Expert, you can import the information from Estimator Express to create all your paperwork. Contracts Expert works the same to provide you with a bulletproof contract. Finally, Project Expert keeps your jobs running on time. Okay, if you'd like to know more about these great deals or the software, call our sales line on this number or email us at sales@hbxl.co.uk. Or if you've already got a trial in Flow, don't forget you can use our support. Call us on these numbers or email us at support@hbxl. See you soon. Thank you.